Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. It is wonderful to see everybody here. I am David Bowers. I'm the Vice President for the Mid-Atlantic Market for Enterprise Community Partners and the Senior Advisor for our National Faith-Based Development work. Enterprise, we're a national organization that really focuses on how can we make life better for residents around the country with a focus on providing and working with organizations who provide housing and connection to opportunities around the country. We have had a long working relationship with MHP, so it's really an honor to be here today with all of you to help as we work with MHP. I've gotten to know MHP over the years through many projects and collaborative efforts that we've worked on together, my colleagues and I, most recently when MHP unveiled the fully renovated 515 Thayer, which preserved 55 affordable homes in Silver Spring along the Purple Line corridor. And I always have to shout out the MHP team for an amazing job of pulling off an event in the midst of an impending storm, which will go down in lore as amazing work by the MHP team. So that was really an inspiring day and an inspiring event. Before we go too much deeper into the program, we want to acknowledge several honored guests, some folks who are here with us today. We know we have Myra Bayonet from Council President Gabe Albernos's office. If Myra's here, she can raise her hand, give us a little shot wave. Great. It's good to see you. Thank you for being here. Do we have any other representatives from or elected officials here? So just kind of wave your hand, let us see. All right, great. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Yeah, well, yes, of course. We are getting that. They call that in the business a segue, because the next person that I'm actually about to introduce is it's an honor for me to introduce the county executive from Montgomery County, Marc Elrich, who just won second term to office. And so we want to congratulate you on that, sir. We know that you have a long history of support for this kind of work, the affordable housing work and work to strengthen communities. So it's my honor to bring up to the microphone County Executive Marc Elrich.
So thank you all for giving me a few minutes this morning to talk to you. I'm excited to talk about affordable housing today. My background, I was a city council member in Tacoma Park for 19 years. Proud of the fact the only jurisdiction in Montgomery County with rent stabilization, and the only place in Montgomery County where all races of people at their median income can actually find a place to live. There is no place else in Montgomery County where that's true, and it's one of the alarming things we've discovered since we started digging into the data around here. I want to thank David for the introduction, and Enterprise has been a great partner for a lot of people over many years. And I've worked with Enterprise folks even going back to my Tacoma Park days. So they play an important role, and I want to thank Rob and MHP for being here. Your work over many years has been really important here. We rely on our nonprofit providers to make up for the lack of housing produced by everybody else in the affordable sphere. Let's be blunt about this. On a good day, out of a typical market rate project, we see 12.5% to 15% affordable. You guys don't do things like that. And we don't get affordable housing unless we require it. That's a fact. That's another unfortunate fact of life in Montgomery County. So we need to think about how we're going to change this, because we really face some really serious challenges. The MPDU program, which is our flagship program, serves people primarily between $60,000 and $75,000 in income. Montgomery County has more than 50,000 households earning less than $50,000. About half of them earn about $30,000. There is no housing program for them, and our subsidies don't come anywhere near being able to deal with them. We've been told that we're to expect that by 2030, 40,000 households. It's great, except 30,000 of them we're told would require subsidy. And of the 30,000, 20,000 would have incomes below $50,000 a year. We have no programs for who's coming here. So if you think about the MPDU program, in the 1970s, Montgomery County was 95% white, which is a pretty astounding factoid. 4.5% black and 0.5% everybody else. The workers are largely working class people. They worked in the trades, they worked in government, they were clerks. And the MPDU program was for teachers, firefighters, and policemen. That's who it was for. And those are kind of the low, moderate income, middle class incomes in Montgomery County. We didn't have enough deep poverty to trigger the thinking that would be required to provide housing for the people we're trying to house today. And that program has been our policy, our signature policy, for going on over 50 years now. And it's not a policy that works. We will not get out of this mess with policy, and all the money in the world is probably not enough to deal with this alone. So we're going to be making some recommendations to the new council. We believe that, we need to think about building complete communities. And so when we go in and require affordable housing, you can't have a Bethesda where 85% of the units are market rate and unaffordable to people over, even who are making 100% of area median income, cannot afford the rents in those apartments. We need to be able to provide housing there, and we need to be able to provide housing at the lower end of the spectrum. We have 2 projects in Bethesda that today, between them, have about almost 500 units. All of those units are market affordable. See, around $1,600 for a 1-bedroom, $1,800 for a 2-bedroom. They're going to be replaced by almost 1,500 market rate units. We're going to get 15% MPDUs to replace all the units that are lost. We will lose net housing in the redevelopment of these properties while giving over massive density increases. If these are our housing policies, A, I've made your job pretty impossible, and I've made our goals of trying to provide affordable housing for people who live in this county and building communities where everybody can afford to live incredibly difficult. So we're going to have to rethink what we do. We'll be proposing widening the range of affordability in what was the MPDU program. We want to name it something like the Complete Communities Initiative, where we talk about building complete communities when we do housing. We're going to introduce no net loss legislation, so you cannot tear down complexes without replacing the affordable units that are there as the starting point, not the ending point. But if you don't do this, all you're going to do is continue to lose affordable housing in Montgomery County. And we're going to propose rent stabilization for units that were built before 2005. The MPDU program, the last of the MPDUs that were built before 2005 expire by 2025. So we're looking to do new things. We know the challenge you all face. We know your commitment to affordable housing. We want to make sure we develop policies that match the goals, and we want to make Rob's job easier. So, A, we can find more projects, and we have more units for them to develop. So thank you all for giving me a couple of moments this morning. You do great work, and we want to make sure you continue the great work, do the great work, and the county needs you. So give generously to them. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, County Executive Elrich. We hope those programs come to fruition in a way that works for everyone, and MHP stands behind you, ready to help you in any way to implement them. My name is Lisa Rother, and I am the board chair of MHP this year. Today is special because we're back in person, having breakfast, connecting face to face, and talking about the great things MHP is doing. Before we begin the program, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the fantastic work of our flow leaders of the world, better known as FLOW students, who welcome you this morning. On behalf of the MHP board and staff, I'd like to extend my congratulations to the students on creating the Going with the Flow magazine. This is a copy of it, which you will see on your tables. I personally am going to listen to their playlist that they've included in here to see what the young people are listening to these days, so I can figure that out. Thank you, guys. The students worked with their MHP teachers to envision, design, and create this original publication. They brainstormed together, coming up with a variety of creative and thoughtful ideas. Then they interviewed MHP leaders to learn more about the professional world, gaining new inspiration into what opportunity they might pursue for their career someday. We congratulate the Flow students for their hard work and achievement, and thank them for helping welcome you all here today. I'm retired city planner, and I was the former director of the Urban Land Institute in Washington. My first introduction to MHP was as a planner in Montgomery County when we partnered with MHP to use county-owned land for a subdivision in Olney. In that project and others, I have learned that this work is not for the faint of heart. To put together financing packages for housing preservation or new construction, it is necessary to create complex bundles of sources of money to develop the projects so that the rents can remain affordable, as our county executive was talking about. I am constantly amazed at the work of the real estate team in making deals happen. And I'm excited about the plans going forward to increase the number of units in MHP's portfolio. Since 1989, MHP has delivered on the promise of its mission by housing people, empowering families, and strengthening neighborhoods all around our area, even beyond Montgomery County. I'd like to ask MHP's current and former board members to rise as we take a moment to recognize them for their volunteer service. We're constantly building on the vision of the people who sat around a table 33 years ago and committed to address affordable housing needs of our neighbors. They were truly visionaries, and we are thankful for their boldness and commitment at that time. We wouldn't be able to do the work we do today without our supporters, many of whom are here today, and you have seen them on our screens, their names. I'm going to read them. First is the Amazon Housing Equity Fund, the Morris, and we're going to hold our applause, there's a lot of them, but thank you to the Amazon people. The Morris and Gwendolyn K. Fritz Foundation, City Community Relations, the Community Foundation in Montgomery County, the Greater Washington Community Foundation, Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, Morgan Stanley, Montgomery County, NeighborWorks America, the Robert A. Shatner Foundation, the State of Maryland, TD Charitable Foundation, and Wells Fargo. So we would applaud all of them. We also want to thank the companies that sponsored this breakfast this morning. Thanks to their financial support, 100% of the gifts that you provide today will go toward our programs. Special thanks go to Residential One, Sandy Spring Bank, Bellwether Enterprise, Bush Construction, Humphrey Management, JBG Smith, Negril Jamaican Eatery, Village Settlements, Hazing Inc., Impact Communications, the Bazzuta Group, Chevy Chase Land Company, Pettit Family Charitable Foundation, and Wells Fargo. If we could applaud them, thank you so much. And we have one more very important thank you, and that is to our table captains who invited you here today. This wonderful event simply could not have happened without their commitment and dedication to MHP. Now, please welcome Pastor Franklin Morales as we pause for the invocation.
Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. It won't take long, just 3 hours. So before, first at all, I would like to say thank you for what MHP does in the community, for all the hope and light that they bring as an organization to those people in need that are looking for affordable homes. in the middle of the rough times that we are living in, that's amazing what they do. So we are going to keep praying for all of you, the sponsors, and all the people that are part of this organization, that we can find places for those in need and keep them faithfully and hopefully in their life. So let us pray to the giver of life. We give you thanks, giver of life, for MHP, for everything that this organization does. We ask you to give us wisdom, to give them wisdom, faithfulness, to bless their partnerships, their partners, the institutions, the properties that they work with, and all the families that they are working with as well, so that they can give hope, give light, and give dignity to those who are seeking to live in a better places and to give to their families a better life. We ask you to bless this year, this breakfast for us, the food that you put before us, and all that made possible that we can be together this day. Bless the families, bless the projects, and bless everyone that works in here. We pray that in your name. Amen.
Isn't it great to be here together once again? The theme of our breakfast today is growing stronger together. And as I reflect on that theme, I can't help but think about MHP's response to the COVID crisis. With the onset of COVID, my staff came together to begin an aggressive outreach effort to support our residents. We worked closely with the county to make sure that the residents were getting the services that they needed. We worked with the school to get iPads and hotspot internet so the kids would not be left behind. We worked with food providers to make sure we could distribute food to our residents. And we worked with health providers to do testing and to make sure that we had vaccine clinics. Most importantly, we worked with the residents to sign them up for much needed assistance. And thanks to you, we created the Resident Emergency Fund. Together, we helped residents in their darkest hour. I know it may feel like everything is back to normal, but unfortunately, too many families are still struggling. While some people have found new jobs, others have not. Even for those who are back to work, many are still catching up on unpaid bills from the COVID crisis. Finding affordable housing and dealing with increasing costs has become the next crisis. The National Association of Realtors notes that for households earning between $75,000 and $100,000, there's only one affordable listing for every 65 households, just one. Inflation has made regular life more expensive on all fronts. Food prices, for example, have risen by more than 11% in the last year. As a result, many residents are dealing with food insecurity and facing burdens of inflation in other areas, such as getting gas and buying clothing. Even in the best of times, most low-income families struggle to make ends meet. With the COVID crisis and with the new challenges of inflation, these hardships are only being made worse. Unfortunately, too many families have to make the most impossible of choices between paying their rent and paying for food, clothing, and medical care. In addition, one of the biggest challenges facing our kids today is the education gap, made worse by the pandemic. Without intense support for our children, these children will never catch up to the learning lost due to the pandemic. At MHP, we are dedicated now more than ever to helping to improve the lives of our residents. We continue to be dedicated to our core mission, which is housing people empowering family, and strengthening neighborhoods. Thanks to your help, we have made great strides in all three areas. In terms of housing people, we completed the renovation of 515 Thayer, as David mentioned earlier, a 55-unit apartment building near downtown Silver Spring. We acquired 2 market-rate affordable apartment buildings, Earl Manor and Franklin Apartments, preserving a total of 325 apartment homes that were at risk of being lost from the county's affordable housing stock. And we began renovations at the Colonnade Creek Apartments, a 96-unit apartment building in Tacoma Park. In terms of empowering families, we served more than 400 kids in our preschool and after-school programs. These students are excited to be back in person, getting enrichment support. We opened a new community life center at the Sandy Slavin Community Center at Halpine Hamlet. And in terms of strengthening neighborhoods, MHP has collaborated with businesses and restaurants in the Long Branch and Bonifant neighborhoods to bring back customers after the challenges of COVID and the disruptions caused by the Purple Line construction. And we are excited to bring back the beloved community events to Long Branch, including the Long Branch Festival and Cinco de Mayo. These events are bringing the community together once again. And thanks to your help, MHP is having a huge impact in the community. But at the end of the day, it's about also the impact we have on individual people's lives. And I would like to share with you a letter from one of our residents. I am a single mother living in an MHP property. During COVID, I lost my job cleaning buildings. I had no money to pay my rent. I didn't have money to pay for food. I was afraid to lose my home. I was getting desperate. I learned of the work of MHP was doing to help residents get jobs. MHP introduced me to a career counselor. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was alone in my struggle. I felt like I had a team. My counselor helped me prepare a resume and connected me to a part-time job cleaning buildings. A weight was lifted because money was coming in again and I was able to pay my rent and feed my son. I'm excited to share with you the great news. I was recently promoted to a full-time job as supervisor cleaning buildings. I manage other staff and I have full benefits. This means I don't have to choose between health and my job. I have health insurance, so I'm less worried when my son and I get sick. I feel so proud. I can be a role model for my son. I know I couldn't have done this on my own. Without MHP, I wouldn't be where I am today. All of you helped me get back on my feet again. I appreciate all MHP does for residents like me. I can never thank you enough. My heart is full. This is just one example of the many families that MHP is serving every day. And while we have accomplished a lot in the last year for individuals and in the community, there's still more that we're looking to do. And with your help, we can begin construction on the Forest Glen Apartments and the Neville Street development, together providing 352 affordable apartment homes within walking distance to the Forest Glen Metro and the White Flint Metro. With your help, we can achieve our vision of doubling the number of affordable housing homes within the decade, thereby making home possible for more people. And together, we can close the education gap caused by the pandemic and broaden our community life programs to serve more kids. These goals are ambitious, but with your support, we can affect real change. This is not the time to rest. This is not the time to rest on our laurels. This is the time to grow. This is the time to build our infrastructure, to raise new capital, and to expand our programs. The next crisis is coming upon us soon. Too many families are depending on us. Now is the time to come together. Now is the time to rise to the occasion. Thank you. Now, we would like to share with you this video, which highlights the commitment and dedication of MHP staff and shows the impact that your support can make on a resident's life. Thank you.
So MHP is one of the most important affordable housing providers operating in the sector in Montgomery County.
If not for organizations like MHP, you'd probably see other developers purchase these properties, redevelop them, and then you permanently lose that affordability of those properties.
To have this to be so close to transit is so significant. So on behalf of all of my colleagues on the County Council, I want to thank MHP, I want to thank Rob, I want to thank everybody that was involved in making today possible, because with this crazy world that we live in right now, we have to find and search for hope.
The wonderful thing about MHP is its staff. I have an amazing group of people who work at MHP and who are deeply committed to the residents. And they pull together and work extremely hard.
Fatima is like a renaissance woman for MHP. She does it all, like you name it, she does it.
I'm involved in so many things. I do the resident engagement when I'm working with residents applying for, let's say, rental assistant. That could be a portion of my day. And then I have to visit a resident, dropping off some food, or I'm dropping off a gift card for them. I kind of like want to be that voice for them. Knowing that affordable housing when I was growing up was important for my family. It was hard for my parents to pay for their rent. And I just wanted to work on something that kind of like affected me and my family. And Montgomery Housing Partnership was that place.
Our residents, they see Fatima not as just like a representative of MHP, but as like a shoulder to cry on. People are literally, telling their life story to her. And it's an emotional time for them because she's talking with them at one of the most vulnerable points in their life.
I like to do what I do because I do feel and I see it that we're making changes in our community. We firsthand, we see the impact that we are having in our community.
It was very difficult for me and my daughter. She wasn't working, I wasn't working. We were here in the house with my grandchildren, and we just hoped God would help us.
She worked for this company for over 17 years, and all of a sudden she was fired, and that's all she had. She cried to sleep. She cried to sleep ever since she was fired from her job.
We had no food at one point, and then we got infected by the virus. We tested positive. One day my daughter calls me and said, "Mom, we don't have gas." And when I came here, they had already shut down our gas service. I know Fatima through the events that MHP has. I found out about the help MHP was giving to residents in need, so I was desperate and I reached out. MHP helped so much. I'm forever thankful for the help that they gave.
We have helped so many people in our community, not just in Montgomery County, but in DC, in PG County. So we see the families that we're impacting directly, and it makes me feel good to do what I do.
In elementary school, in kindergarten, I would cry all the time because I couldn't read like the other kids could.
So in 3rd grade, Nicole read kindergarten level. Then in 4th grade, Nicole read still kindergarten, 1st grade level.
Turns out I did have dyslexia. And after that, the whole process was it was a different thing. I was put into, different classes for helping to read. I was given more of the attention that I needed for the obstacle that I had.
And Miss Gloria was really, encouraging her. She was there for her. And the reading teacher, so the teachers here at MHP put attention in Nicole. They noticed something wasn't right.
So she really made it possible for me to learn to read and to enjoy it and not just feel like I'm never gonna do it. It's never gonna happen for me. And she also taught the other kids to be patient with me. They just took the time. Honestly, that's really I can say. They took the time to really just teach me little skills, but that were skills that I used the rest of my life.
Nicole told me that was because Miss Gloria and the reading teacher back then, they really believed in me. So, 6th grade, Nikki's reading college level. She took the reading test at school, and she scored college reading level. So, all the help that MHP provided through their program manager, through their teachers, it really made a difference in her. And this is why I believe in this program. I'm so thrilled to be working for MHP because now I can help other kids.
I was always in the summer program, but I was never a teacher. And when I was being a teacher, I really liked how I could just make things up for the kids, arts and crafts stuff, the field trips that we did with the kids I got to know, I really did like it, so I came back the next year.
MHP gives me the tools, provides me the center, provides me the supplies that I need to be able to teach these kids and help them.
And then I was like, oh wow, I actually do like this. I actually like to see the kids smile and laugh. And when I come to the summer camp, they're like, Miss Nikki, so I really enjoyed that.
I'm just very blessed to have this opportunity. That's all I can add. That now that I can be here, then, I love it. I just love to see those kids thrive, just step a little bit higher because we are able to help.
I think the best way I can describe MHP is it's a community. I really built roots here. The fact that years later, I'm coming back to work with them. I never lost my place at my house. That's what it feels like. I'm home again. I wasn't just a stranger. I'm not just a new person. No, I'm back in the community that I grew up in. MHP does a really good job at making people feel like they're a part of something.
Good morning. My name is Sergio Ascenso. I am 14 and a 9th grader at Wheaton High School. I've never given a speech before. I am excited and nervous about doing this. I've been in MHP after school program since the 3rd grade. MHP always helped me with homework, which is not always fun. But the staff motivated us, especially in Flow. Teachers, they also helped us find our talents. At Flow, I learned that I loved art. Miss Connie, the Flow director, she said I was shy at first, but now I'm outspoken. She also said that I put myself out there. I'm not sure about that, but I know that independence is important. I have seen people make big mistakes before. I don't want to go down that road. Maybe my independence came from my parents. Both came from Guatemala and moved to the U.S. My mom was only 15. She tried high school, but it was hard for her. She didn't know the language. Instead, she had to work to send money back home to her parents. She grew up quick. Our living situations before MHP was hard. We were renting a place that seemed okay, but the owner stopped paying the mortgage, and the house was taken just like that. Our home was gone. My family was afraid that we would have nowhere to go. Luckily, my mom saw a sign of MHP, and the rest is history. Today, I help with my younger brothers. On days when I'm not feeling the homework, I think about my mom's life at 15, and I quickly get it together. I know she needs my support more than ever. Sometimes there are scary unknowns in our life, but it's good to know that we have MHP. Because our housing is secure, we are strong and we can deal with the challenges that many immigrant families face. Without Homework Club, Flow, and the safe place to live, I don't know where we would be. I see some people at school failing classes or doing stuff that's illegal. That's not me. And with the help of MHP, I can make a better life for myself and for my family. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mamie Diop, and I am a senior at Blake High School. MHP moved into my first neighborhood on Glenville Road in Silver Spring when I was 3 years old. I'm not sure how, but all the kids in my street got wrapped into MHP programs. As a result, I attended the preschool and Homework Club programs. We walked to school together and cheered as everyone got at least B pluses. My dad often shared that when MHP moved on the street, the community became like the one he remembered in Dakar, Senegal. But with 1/3 of the population in Senegal living in poverty, my parents decided to move to the United States for better opportunities. My parents have worked many jobs, just like Sergio's parents, to make sure we had everything we needed, but it hasn't been enough. Housing costs have stripped my parents' wages, and we are paying more for rent and unable to save. We now needed an extra financial boost and a place where we could live comfortably and draw strength from the community around us. We found that strength again in MHP. I am now at a critical point in my life. I plan to attend college to become a civil engineer. I have always gravitated towards being a leader. It's just helping others become the best they can be, a lot like what has been done for me, by my family, my school, and MHP. With my class requirements finally out the way, I am taking more AP courses, can work closer with my teammates as captain of my track, soccer, and basketball teams, and I serve as student government president. And I've continued throughout the years to volunteer at MHP because I remember how good it felt when someone was there to help me. It is too bad that everyone can't live on Glenville to experience the impact MHP can have, but you can visualize what it must have felt like, and then you can help. So much more can be done to reach individuals and families. Giving back has always been important to me, and I know you are here because it is important to you too. Thank you for listening to my story and showing your support for MHP.
Good morning, my friends. From my perspective, it's out with ABC and in with MHP. ABC, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Not better than MHP. Do, re, mi, baby, MHP. Remember that Jackson 5 song? And you might have caught that line, in the latest edition of Jan's Inside Jam. That's the column I write for the Silver Spring Regional Service Center weekly newsletter. I'm 82 now, but my love of words and language was sparked after reading the novel Black Boy by Richard Wright at the age of 8. This was during an era of segregation when even libraries were restricted for blacks. It was my Aunt Hattie's book that I sneaked home to finish reading. When my father found out, he returned the book, but he bought me home an unabridged dictionary and a red typewriter. And I've been reading, writing, and typing ever since. And it's brought me joy and many career opportunities. I live at MHP property, the Bonifant now. The Bonifant. And I'm probably its greatest champion. But it didn't start out that way. Our house belonged to my mother, and I continued that legacy, caring for my mother, my daughter, my grandson in her house. And but it was time for change. At my children's suggestion, I moved into the Bonifant when it opened in 2016. I hadn't lived in an apartment since the 60s. It wasn't an easy transition. At the beginning, I was humming, "I'm so tired of being alone." That's Al Green. My daughter wisely suggested that I go sit in the lobby, Mommy, go sit in the lobby and meet people. It worked. In no time, I had the community I yearned for, the perfect one I needed for this stage in my life. We were fortunate because affordable housing for seniors is scarce. Without MHP, perhaps I'd still be in my mother's home, struggling on a fixed income with rising property taxes. Getting older is not always easy. But I think back to when I was in the 11th grade. My teacher, Mr. Perkins, used to say, "The only thing constant in life is change." To enjoy life, you have to go to where it may take you, as Mamie and Sergio will soon discover. MHP's properties are not just buildings. They are links to MHP programs and the precious children they serve. I hope that whatever tune, expression, or life quote that speaks to you will move you to dig and dig deep, to help MHP to continue to expand its mission, helping seniors, families, and our young people, especially in this unprecedented era. With safe and affordable housing, needs are met, that skills can be unleashed. Thank you, my friends.
Let's give Mamie, Sergio, and Ms. Brown another round of applause. Ms. Brown, I'm not a singer. My late mother told me once I couldn't carry a note if I had a bag to carry it in. But I will share this, Ms. Brown, as you were giving your remarks, a song came to my mind. You are so beautiful. I'm gonna stop right there, because if I keep on, I'm gonna mess it up. So you get the point. Thank you all so much. So it's my job then to share a quick personal reflection and to make the ask. That's what I'm here to do. And let me just say, when I was asked to do this, there were two words that came to mind for me when I think of MHP. One is heart, and the other is excellence. Heart and excellence. I've got a tremendous respect for MHP, and part of that is because of their heart, the fact that they focus on making life better for people. You've heard that through the testimonies from that we just heard, the video, Rob talking about people, but individual people, not just macro level, but people with names, right? That's what MHP does. It does that work, and it does it across the board, whether it's in their policy work, their building work, their services work. MHP is going to bring heart to the table. So that's one of the reasons I have tremendous respect for MHP. You hear it in the empowering families and strengthening neighborhoods. The other thing is, though, they do it with excellence. My late mother used to say, one of the highest compliments my late mother used to be able to give you is if she said these words, "Boy, you on it. You on it." That was her way of saying, you handling the business. You're on it. MHP brings excellence to the table, and when I think of them, I think of the fact that they're going to be on it. If I see Chris Gillis coming into a conversation about policy, I know Chris is going to be on it. If there's a deal being talked about and I see Artie coming around the corner, I'm like, oh, everybody better sit up now, because Artie's going to be on it, and Rob and the team. So MHP brings excellence to the table. Now, a few minutes ago, we heard Rob talk about how important MHP is in the community, providing not just shelter, but also a place to call home for more than 2,600 families, low-income families in our community. It really is a privilege for me to be here today to join in making a significant investment, asking all of us to make a significant investment in MHP programs so that the organization can continue to make home possible for more families and more neighborhoods in our community, and so that young people can do more than just dream of a brighter future, but so that Sergio and Mamie and others can live those dreams, live that reality. MHP's goal is to build a stronger foundation to expand its programs and provide a stable future for the organization and the families and communities that it serves. So if you have been inspired when you saw the video with Fatima and other things that you heard and seen today, and I believe that you probably like me have been, that you will consider joining the Circle of Builders Giving Society by making a pledge of at least $1,000 a year for 5 years. The key to building stable foundation for MHP programs is sustainable funding, and anybody who works, particularly at a nonprofit, knows that long-term sustainable funding is critical lifeblood to the work that we try to get done every day. Multi-year pledges are essential. So for MHP to strengthen and expand its programs, the organization needs to be able to plan several years out and count on that funding to be there, and multi-year pledges provide that stability. We want to take a moment to acknowledge at this moment all the individuals who have already joined the Circle of Builders by making multi-year pledges at last year's breakfast or at another time. There are more than 70 of them, and that's great news. We want to give special thanks this morning to those at the foundation level who have committed at least $10,000 or more annually, and I'll do their names and ask we hold the applause to the end. So there's the Bizzuto Group, John and Bonnie Clark, Eugene Costa, Helene Goldberg, and Sanford and Doris Slavin Foundation. And we also want to recognize those at the stepping stone level committing at least $5,000 annually. Leon Andrus, William and Anja Caldwell, Mohammed and Elaine Elkawas, Elm Street Development, Catherine and Brett Gates, Jean and Lauren Sachs, and Larry and Salima Stewart. Let's give them all a hand. And those current Circle of Builders, if you're here, could you just stand up if you're in the room? If any of you all are here, any of those folks we just mentioned, could you just stand? Could you stand or raise your hand just so people can know who you are? Thank you all so much. Thank you all so very much. As we go through the 3 levels of giving in MHP Circle of Builders Giving Society, please note there is a special section on the back of your pledge card for those of you who are already members in the society. We invite you to consider paying off your pledge early or increasing the amount of your pledge, so please take a look and consider it. Now I'm going to ask the table captains at each table to pass out these pledge cards so everyone has them. You'll see the information is very user-friendly, very clear. Starting at the top of the card, the Giving Society pledge level names are meant to give you a sense of the impact of the contribution. Your contribution will go towards unrestricted operating funds. The first giving level, the circle level, is a pledge of $1,000 each year for 5 years. That translates into a little more than $80 a month. Your gift at this level would fund more than 100 new books for the Play and Learn program, which prepares preschool-age children for kindergarten. At this stage, a child's brain development proceeds at a faster pace than it will at any other stage in their life. However, 1 in 4 American children come from low-income families and enter kindergarten not ready to learn. Many students, like you heard even from Nicole, struggle with learning disabilities at an early age and need a little extra support to help them realize their full potential. We all know that reading is fundamental to learning, and teachers rely on new supplies every year. With your support, MHP can purchase new books that excite all of the students. So please, let's help close this gap together. And I'll just say very quickly, doing a book drive in Baltimore City each year with the Enterprise Women's Network, it has amazed me to see the joy in the eyes of little children when they get books. When they get books, I'm always amazed, 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, when they see they're getting books. So please support this effort of MHP to make books accessible to the children. The stepping stone level is a pledge of $5,000 a year for 5 years. Your contribution of $5,000 will allow MHP to provide a dynamic new program for more than 400 students enrolled in MHP's community life programs. This could be a new partnership with an enrichment organization such as Nature Forward or Story Tapestries. As you heard from Sergio earlier, and Sergio, I don't know if he's still here, but he did a great job as someone who's saying it was his first time. These programs will plant seeds of passion for learning, allowing students to discover their talents and explore new possibilities, such as creating an art and observing science and the natural world. Your pledge will help students take charge of their futures and discover what they're good at, laying the stepping stones of a successful life for each student and leveling the playing field for more equitable education throughout our community. The third giving level, the foundation level, is a pledge of $10,000 a year for 5 years. Your pledge at this level would help MHP get one step closer to the goal of doubling its affordable housing portfolio by the year 2030. MHP has a model that works and is recognized as one of the leaders in this region. Now it must scale up to meet the magnitude of the need. We heard the county executive refer to needing, there's a greater need to be met. So to reach the targets, MHP will prioritize development opportunities where it can rehab or build at least 100 new affordable homes in one location. Having more residents in each development will allow MHP to invest more in wraparound programs and services for residents of all ages. MHP currently houses about 4,000 people, 4,000 residents, impacting lives from generation to generation, like Sergio, Mamie, and Ms. Brown. With your support, MHP can double this, housing 8,000 of our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues, coworkers, family members. So your foundation level pledge will provide greater stability for more families and improve equity in our region. If you are a new member of the Circle Builders Giving Society, we want to thank you for your generous support. And although I began by introducing the Circle of Builders program, we certainly understand that you may prefer to give at a different level. Below the Circle of Builders section on your pledge card, you can indicate how much you'd like to give and how many years you would like to continue making that donation. But let's be clear, whatever level of support that we give, you give, we ask that you, if you can, make that first payment on your pledge today. You can pay by check or credit card. If you're paying by credit card, please make sure to include your billing address. Perhaps you'd like to make a gift of stock or something else, or would like to stay involved with MHP in other ways. If so, please check the next box, the one that says, I would like to stay involved with MHP. We talk in one of my lines of work about time, talent, and treasure. And MHP needs all of that. It can use and benefit from your time, from your talents, and from the treasure that you may share. And please note that whatever you give today, whatever you've committed, including the gift of your time, will be greatly appreciated for your support for the individuals, the families, and the communities that MHP serves. Now, we're going to give you a few minutes to finish filling out the pledge cards, and when you're finished, we ask that you would pass that envelope back to your table captain. As I close out, let me just share this very briefly. I made reference to the event at Thayer earlier, and it really struck me. And I want to leave you with this, that I think that what happened on that day captures the essence, Rob, of MHP. That's why I keep referring to it. I tell people, I'm laughing, but I'm not joking. There was literally a storm, like get off the streets, weather advisory, your cell phone goes beep, 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 storm that was coming in. Things were literally blowing over. The backdrops were blowing over. But what did I see? MHP, steady in the storm. The MHP staff, they didn't freak out. They went to work. I saw some people back there pulling up the backdrop. Some people making sure the lunch boxes weren't blowing over. So while there was all of this chaos going on, MHP was steady in the storm. When we think about the investment here today, that's what we're investing in. An organization that will see a Miss Brown, see a Sergio, see a Mamie, and say, even with all of the storms going on in your life, we're going to help you. And we're going to be a steady force in that storm, Miss Brown. So, okay, you lost your job, steady in the storm. You can't figure out how to read, steady in the storm. All right? You're having trouble paying your bills, steady in the storm. That's what MHP does. So when you think about what you're going to give, and I think about a little bit of sacrifice. Maybe I won't order a DoorDash meal that's going to run me $100. Instead, let me give that to MHP. Instead of going to get that massage, maybe I'll just take that $200 or $300 and give that to MHP. Just a little bit of sacrifice means that MHP will be able to pour into the lives of somebody, and one of our neighbors, one of our residents, and say, even though you are going through, Miss Brown, you ain't alone. MHP is with you, and we're going to make sure that you get through that storm, steady in the storm. Lisa Rother, I turn it back to you.
I have known Pastor Bowers for many, many years and always dreaded having to say something after him. Thank you, David, very much for your thoughts. Thank you, Pastor Morales, and our amazing speakers. I don't have a song. I couldn't think of one as quickly as David could. After today's program, you certainly can understand why I want to be involved with MHP. And now that you've gotten a closer look at our organization, we would love for you to come out and actually come to a tour of one of our properties. The tours are truly inspiring. Please be on the lookout for our email newsletters. Follow us on social media, and you can find out about this and other MHP happenings. Thank you all so much for coming, and have a wonderful day.